Okay, so this topic we have done for the topic chapter 8.1 and 8.2. Okay, now the last subtopic which is we learn about the database object. Okay, so after we learn about database object, so we start with the week 11, which is we learn how to develop a simple database using Access. Okay, but make sure that you understand this object in database. Okay, so in this topic, at the end of the topic, you will learn to understand, okay, the function of database object. Okay, in database object, we have four object, which is table, query, form, and report. Okay, so what's a table? A table is a collection of record that identify a category of the data. Alright, and which is arranged in row and columns. Okay, so let me explain. When we create one database, okay, let's say you create a database, for example, student database. Okay, in the student database, you can create a table which is more than one table. Okay, in what the content in the table? Okay, the content in the table which is, okay, a data, a collection of records. Okay, for example, you create a database, okay, a table of the students, lecturers, or any academic staff, for example. Okay, each column which is represent a field and records are in a row. Okay, so when you create a table, okay, when you create a table, that you can see that in the table we can create more than one. For example, you create a table of a student. So in the table of student, let's say they have about they have about 40 students, 40 orang student. So 40 record ada dalam table tu. Okay, so dia akan dalam row lah. Kalau 40 record, sebenarnya dalam 40 record tu ada 40 row dalam table tu. 40 row. Okay, 40 row in the table, which is represent records. Okay, the column is actually represents a field name. For example, student ID, student name, the address, IC number. Okay, alright. Okay, so for example, like this one, okay, in table here, you refer to this table, which is contain five field name. Okay, so each of the column we call as a field name, which is ID, first name, last name, street address, and city. And the record is actually represent in row, okay, which is about one. Okay, start with the 105, Dwayne, okay, James, okay, dan itulah, that is the first record. Okay, dan seterusnya record kedua, the second record is 106, which is Joachim, Love, okay, dan seterusnya lah, until end of the record, which is Andrew, the record of Andrew, which is 1 to 4. Okay, so this is what we call the records. Let's say they have about 50 people, 50 records. Okay, for example, so 50 lah. Okay, for example. So this one, this is about, we have more than 10 records. Okay, so this is example of records. Okay, so this is what we call the column here, we call a field, and the records is actually represent in the row. Okay, and this is a cell. Okay, this is an example of the table. So when we want to create a table, we can create more than one table. Okay, in the one database, we can create more than one table. Okay, so this is the field name, first name, last name, street address. Okay, it depends on what kind of the field name that you want to insert in your table. Okay, let's say you create a table of the students. So you insert the ID, student ID, the student name, the address. Okay, so that is the field name. Alright. Okay, so you can see that the record. Okay, let's say you in the table you have about 20 record of the students. So dia akan keluar kat sini lah, dia ada record kat sini. Okay, kalau katakan ada 200 record, jadi kalau you klik salah satu record tu, dia adalah record yang keberapa. For example, like 30, Maria is record dia adalah ID dia adalah 13, jadi dia adalah record yang ke-13 daripada 196, 196. Okay, alright, that is about the first object, which is table. Okay, second object which is query. A query is what? A query is a way of searching for or compiling data from one or more table. So for me, the query is actually the specification. Okay, specification of what you want. It's a question you want. Okay, for example, let's say in the table, the record. Okay, the record. Let's say in the record we have about 100 of records. Which is the record have the student from Kuala Lumpur, from Kelantan, from Terengganu, okay, from many state, okay, from different state. A query is actually you request certain of the request something, request the data. For example, in a query, you request about a student that from Kuala Lumpur. Okay, so the query will list down all the student that from Kuala Lumpur based from the records in the table. Dengan syarat record tu mesti ada student daripada Kuala Lumpur. Kalau tak, dia tak keluar data tu. Dia tak keluar pun. Okay, so the query is actually the query is actually accessed from the record in the table that you already insert the record. So the table, let's say the table have 20 records, dah ada record dalam tu. Okay, dalam table student. Okay, jadi dalam query, next you nak buat query, so you can access certain of the specification from the records. Okay, let's say you want to find a student that 3.5 above. Okay, so dia akan retrieve daripada from the record from the student table tu. Okay, let's say in the student table dah ada record of CGPA, senarai CGPA dalam tu. Okay, setiap orang ada CGPA dia lah. Okay, let's say dalam 40 orang tu, 40 record ada, setiap student dah ada CGPA dalam tu, dah ada record lah. Jadi that's why you can use the query. You can search, you can request a list of the student that get 3.5 above, for example. So nanti dalam query tu dia akan keluarkan senarai daripada senarai student yang dapat 35 ke atas. Okay, table tu asal dia 40 orang tu, cuma ada 20 orang je dapat 35 ke atas. Jadi dalam query tu dia akan keluarkan katakan 10 orang daripada table asal. Okay, jadi 10 orang tu yang akan keluar dalam query 35 ke atas. Okay, that's the query. Okay, so the query is to locate the information, to view, change or analyze in a various way. Okay, you can the query allow you to pull information from one or more table. Okay, let's say you ada lebih daripada satu table, you also can retrieve more than one table record daripada satu atau lebih table. Okay, alright. So let's say in the query, the question in the query which is list the lecturer in computer science unit and what is the ID. Okay, jadi dia akan search daripada table of lecturers. Okay, so daripada table of lecturers, table of lecturers tu ada lebih kurang 8 orang ataupun 8 lecturer daripada science unit, computer science unit. Jadi query tu dia akan keluarkan lah dan juga nama dan juga ID lah daripada record of lecturers table tu. Okay, right. Okay, so how to create a query? Okay, how to create query is very simple. We have two method. Okay, we have two method. One is create query from wizard and create query from design. Okay, normally I like to use we will learn how to use from the query design lah. Okay, method kedua lah, query design. Okay, first we create let's say the first query from the query design, and after that we choose the table, which of the table that we use. Depends on the question. If the question asks about to find the lecturer's name, computer science, okay, nama lecturer daripada computer science dan juga ID dia, jadi kita kena pergi dekat itulah table lecturers. Kalau query tu dia nak kita cari customer name, nama customer tersebut, okay, contoh customer daripada Kuala Lumpur and also the ID, jadi kita kena pergi table customer lah. Okay, okay, you have to add the table in the query out. Okay, then you have to find the the table, the records, the field name. Okay, kalau kita nak cari query, customer query which is from Kuala Lumpur, jadi dalam customer table tu mesti cari state. Kalau kita nak cari ataupun the question query is code, postcode dia ni, okay, postcode 171800. Okay, that is a postcode. Kita nak listkan siapa yang customer daripada postcode ni, jadi kita kena pergi dekat, kita kena klik dekat ni lah, choose the field name, postcode. Okay. So this is example. Okay, if you want to find student name, nama Ali, jadi kita kena letak Ali lah dalam query tu. Then after that we can run ataupun kita start untuk compile lah. Okay, jadi kita akan cari, of course you kena savekan nama dulu dalam query tu, baru you akan nampak list lah, list of the query. Okay. Alright, form. A form is so popular because they are useful for both person asking for the promotion and the person providing it. Okay, and you can always enter data directly into database table. You might find it easy to use the form. Okay, form ni normally dia lebih user friendly. Okay, dia ada banyak button, dia ada gambar, dia ada background colours. Normally dalam form kita nampak gambar kita. For example, you nak display nama you, dia akan keluar maklumat tentang you lah. Okay, your pictures, your photo and particular about you. Okay, that is a form. Okay, right. Okay, using a form to enter data let you be certain that you are entering the right data in the right location and format. Okay. Okay, help you to keep your database accurate, okay, and also consistent. Okay. So this is an example. What is the difference of form and table? They are different. Okay, form ni is just a column and row. Alright. And kalau kita tengok pada form, okay, is a very what you call cantik lah, kita nampak lebih jelas. Okay, which is we can see the background, we can create a background colors, and also we can insert the photo here. Okay, we can display the records. Okay, we can display the for example the record here. So this is example of form. Ni contoh form. Okay, alright. The benefit of form, which is more interactive sikit lah. Kita boleh letak gambar, okay, easy to understand. We can modify the record. Alright, the user can see the entire record one at a time. Okay, so that's bila kita access dia, kita terus nampak maklumat kita lah in one page tu. Alright, so for the data entry, easy to process the data. Okay, so this is an example of the form. Okay, let's say you want to access your name, okay, or you want to access I want to access my customer name. Okay, for example, I want to search the name, dan dia akan keluarkan nama tersebut lah. Okay, dan maklumat tentang customer tersebut dalam satu page. And normally in the form we can insert the command button. Okay, command button yang kita boleh letak button-button kat sini lah, dan juga gambar. Okay. The button, for example, like previous, next button, right? Okay, the last one, reports. Okay, give the ability to present the components of the database, easy to read and easy to print. Okay, it's a printable format. So bila kita buat dalam report ni, dia senang dan kita boleh reprintkan records tu. Okay, using the data from any query or table in database. So you can search, you can retrieve the records from table or query, and you can format it into reports. So this is example of reports. So report normally we can print. Okay, we can print and see the list of the records in one page lah. Okay, in the page. Okay. Alright, last one, the summary for this subtopic, which is you already learned what is a table, a form, queries, form and report. Actually, when we create a database, which is for object ni, dia sebenarnya dalam flow dia yang betul. When we create a database, kita kena start dulu dengan table, kita kena create table. You can create more than one table. Okay, for example, lecturer's table, student table. Okay, and then after you create a table, you have to insert the field name. Ini dia punya flow After you create a flow, the field name, then you can insert the records. Contoh kalau you create a table of the lecturers, you kena masukkan record of the lecturers lah. Let's say ada 50 lecturers, so kena ada 50 record dalam table lecturers. Okay, sama juga dengan student table Okay, alright. So after you already insert the records, dah ada semua record about the lecturers and the student, baru you buat queries. Okay, query is actually based from what you want. What is the specification from the records of the table. Okay. Let's say query tu contoh, let's say you want to list down of the student from Negeri Sembilan. So dalam record table record ada 5 orang student daripada Negeri Sembilan. Jadi dia akan keluar dekat query tu lah. Okay. Tapi kalau dalam record table tu tak ada pun daripada seorang pun daripada Negeri Sembilan. Okay, daripada 40 record tu, jadi dia tak letak lah, dia kosong dekat query tu sebab tak ada student daripada Negeri Sembilan. So the query is the specification. Alright, so we can create more than one query actually, right? Either from the from one table to one table. Okay, then we can create a forms. A form which is you can create a form from the table and also you can create form from a queries. Okay, form ni dia punya keyword dia adalah dia punya form. A form is actually more easy to understand. Okay, and we can insert the background colors, the command button. Okay, easy to display. So kalau contoh, kalau user ni dia nak tengok maklumat dia dalam bentuk dalam format forms. Okay, in the format of forms. Okay, alright. After that, we also last one, the object in database, we create reports. Okay, report we can create from the queries and we can create list of reports, record dalam report from the table. Jadi kita boleh create reports from the table and also queries. Sama juga dengan form. Okay, so that's all for the subtopic for the database. Okay, object. Alright, so see you next week. For the week 11, we develop a simple database system. Okay, using Microsoft Access, and make sure you already have the applications in your laptop. Okay, because you have to sit for the lab test in week 13. Okay, week 13 you can perlu sit for the lab test. Okay, online, but make sure that you on the day, okay, which is we start 3 p.m. until 5 p.m. on Friday. Okay, so make sure you lock the date. Okay, jangan buat benda lain waktu tu, sebab markah 20 markah. So make sure that you alert about the lab test. Okay, so that's all for now. See you next week, and make sure you have the application data access, because we are going to create the database next week. Okay, that's all for now, and see you next week. Okay, Assalamualaikum.